Forget the television studios in Delhi for a moment. Today, we're not looking at politics from 30,000 feet. We're going to the soil itself. We're going to break down the anatomy of a single assembly constituency, number 30, Alongtaki in Nagaland. This is a deep dive, grounded in data, to really understand how governance is won or lost, one village at a time. This is about engineering governance right from the ground up.
You know, if you want to understand India, you really have to understand its villages. And Alongtaki, in the Mokochung district, is a perfect example. It's a land of farmers, of government servants, of really strong community bonds. It's a seat reserved for scheduled tribes, and its political heartbeat, well, that belongs to the Ao Naga people. National headlines, they just fade away here. What really matters is the texture of daily life, the promises that are made, and, more importantly, the promises that are kept. This is where democracy isn't some abstract idea, it's a lived, breathing reality.
Now, just take a moment and look at this number, 0.7%. Let that sink in. That single figure, it tells you everything you need to know about the stakes here. That was the margin of victory in the 2018 election. We're talking about a literal handful of votes separating victory from defeat. In a place like Alongtaki, every single voice, every single vote has the proven power to define the future for the next 5 years. This is what politics on a knife edge looks like.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll dig into the knife-edge nature of this election. Second, we're going to decode the constituency's political DNA. Third, and this is crucial, we'll uncover what voters on the ground really want. And finally, we'll lay out a data-driven 90-day blueprint for how to earn back the trust of the people.
All right, let's start with the unique intensity of this contest. Alongtaki isn't just another constituency on a map, it's a microcosm of real democratic engagement, a place where the entire political process is deeply, deeply woven into the fabric of the community itself.
So let's look at the facts on the ground. We're talking about a pretty small electorate, roughly 14,400 voters back in 2018. It's a rural area where livelihoods are tied to the land and to government service. Now here's what's really interesting. The key is the dominance of a single community, the Ao Naga. This is so important. It means the politics here isn't about pitting different groups against each other. It's more like an internal conversation, a competition of ideas and trust within one large family.
And this chart just shows you the incredible level of engagement. I mean, look at these numbers. In 2013, a staggering 93% of the people voted. Even in 2018, it was over 83%. Now compare that to the Indian national average, which hovers around 67%. You see, this isn't apathy. This is a deeply invested, politically aware community. And it's because our constitutional framework empowers this. It guarantees that informed public speech, this very act of voting, is the cornerstone of a person's dignity. They believe their vote matters because they have seen election after election just how much it truly does.
So moving on, how did this political intensity get built? Well, to understand the present, you have to look at the past. Alongtaki is a classic swing seat. Power doesn't rest easy here. It's earned, and it can be lost in a single election cycle. This history of a political tug-of-war is what defines its DNA.
This timeline really shows the rhythm of Alongtaki's politics. You see the pattern, right? No single party sets up a dynasty here. The NDA wins, then a regional force like the NPF or the INC takes over, and then the pendulum swings right back. This is the hallmark of a really discerning voter base. They aren't just blindly loyal to one flag. They vote on performance, on hope, and on dissatisfaction. They hold power accountable right where it matters, at the ballot box.
So who actually decides the outcome of this political tug-of-war? Well, this chart makes it crystal clear. The Ao Naga community. They are the kingmakers. Unlike other constituencies that have complex social equations, the electoral math here is very, very straightforward. The contest is essentially an AO versus AO battle. The bottom line is, victory depends entirely on which side can win the trust and the confidence of the majority within this single dominant community.
And the choice they're presented with is fundamentally about two very different ideas of the future. On one side, you have the NDA alliance, offering a vision of national integration. They talk about New India, bringing in central government schemes, focusing on big infrastructure and aligning the state with a national development agenda. On the other side, you have the Naga People's Front, positioning themselves as the tribal guardians. Their focus is intensely local. Naga autonomy, the welfare of the tribe, and protecting a distinct regional identity. That's the core conflict, a national vision versus a regional one.
But you know what? Slogans from state capitals and from Delhi,
They often mean very little when you're walking on a broken village road. And that brings us to the most important part of our analysis. What do the people of Alongtaki actually want? What are the real, ground-level issues that decide their vote? This sentiment right here, it's echoed in countless villages across the country, and it is the absolute truth of rural politics. Grand projects feel abstract. A broken road is a daily, physical reality. A lack of clean water is a daily struggle. This is the gap that a winning campaign has to bridge. It's about connecting policy to people's actual lived experience.
Our ground-level data makes this perfectly clear. Let's just walk through this dashboard slowly, because this is where elections are won or lost. Look at the high-intensity grievances. Right at the top, infrastructure, specifically broken roads that cut off villages and hurt farmers. Next, unemployment. The youth see no local jobs, which forces them to leave. And third, a very deep-seated anxiety about tribal rights in their land. These aren't minor issues. These are the fundamental questions of dignity, livelihood, and identity. Any political party that ignores these three pillars is just asking to lose.
So, if you were tasked with winning back this constituency, how would you do it? It's not about magic. It is a science of listening, of planning, and of executing. So here is a blueprint for translating those grievances into a mandate. This is the 90-day ladder to earning back trust. First, you have to understand your key asset. In this case, for the NPF, it's their candidate, Dr. Benjangliba Iyer. He perfectly fits the archetype of the stalwart tribal scholar. His strengths are immense. He's a respected elder, a former MLA with deep, deep roots in the community. People trust his wisdom. But the challenge is to avoid being seen as part of an older, slower generation. The campaign has to project his experience not as a relic of the past, but as the steady hand needed for the future.
The campaign itself has to be methodical, and it has to directly address those pain points we just saw. Step 1, the first 30 days, is all about groundwork. No big speeches, it's about conducting door-to-door listening sessions with village elders and church leaders. Why? To validate that those high-intensity grievances, the roads, the jobs, are actually being heard. Step 2, intensification. Now the candidate tours every single hamlet, turning that listening into a platform. You address the youth directly on the jobs crisis. And Step 3, the final month, is mobilization. This is about converting that goodwill into actual votes.
And of course, in today's world, the ground game has to be amplified by a smart digital strategy. The messaging must be sharp. Taglines like "service over spectacle" directly respond to that feeling that voters only see big projects from a distance. The tools are simple, but they're effective. WhatsApp groups, Facebook pages. And the content must be authentic. Short video testimonials from villagers speaking in their own Awa language about that broken road or the need for a local clinic. This is where respecting privacy and consent is vital. Under India's framework, you must be clear with people about how their stories will be used, ensuring they give their explicit consent. This isn't about fancy ads, it's about using technology to scale authenticity and trust responsibly. Which brings us to our final and most crucial question. In an age of 24/7 national news and massive social media trends, does all politics still remain local? The story of Alongtaki gives us a powerful answer. Yes. Yes, it does. It teaches us that while national narratives provide the context, elections are ultimately won or lost right there on the ground. They're won by leaders who understand that the most important promise isn't the one made on a national stage, but the one made in a village square, to a voter who just wants a better road, a job for their child, and the dignity of their identity to be respected. That is the enduring truth of democracy. If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 080-4204-1602. Purpose beyond politics.